Hello, warriors. And don't say that lightly. To be in this business, you have to be a warrior because warriors get knocked down. They have to get back up. And just like real estate is location, 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 trading is all in our head and it's psychology, psychology, psychology. So we are really fortunate to have Alan Edward with us, who teaches traders to deal with paradigms that possibly are not beneficial to their trading. Alan, welcome to TradeGate Hub. I'm really looking forward to our discussion today.
Hi Dale, yeah, thank you for having me on, mate. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so I'd like to start a little bit knowing about your journey to how you got to become the divergent trader. How did you start off in the industry as a trader? What were you doing just prior, or did you know from a young age that the markets were your calling?
Um, so yeah, I started off not not really knowing much about the markets. I got introduced through my cousin actually. He was trading the markets and showed me uh, what he was doing. He was doing some mechanical trading at the time, and that's what triggered my interest in it. I had no idea what it was about before, and yeah, I obviously got into it that way. And then from there, did all the mistakes that all the traders do,
Yes,
failing
landmines.
miserably.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, yeah, found my way eventually.
Okay, so did you have any important people or books that helped you make breakthroughs, and how many years would you say it took you to become a trader where you had the confidence to where you could know you're pulling out money out of the
Mm.
market on a more consistent basis?
Yeah, well, it took me about 3 years to get it down, but like 4 years to really get my groove. You know what I
You know,
mean?
yeah, I do know what you mean. It's
Mm,
interesting. I've asked
yeah,
that question over 1,000 times to people now.
yeah.
And the average answer is 4 years, and it makes
Is it?
sense. Yeah,
Mm,
it makes sense because you know, of course, a college degree is 4 years. But say, for example, you wanted to be an electrician or a
mhm.
pipe fitter. You go through the apprentice stage, and then you become a
Yes.
journeyman before you become a master. So
Hmm.
it was funny. I forgot who I was talking to. Maybe Jack Schwager said, "Yeah, this is the only business, Alan, where people think they can read a book over the weekend
Yeah.
and then just begin trading." And he compared that to, could you read a book about brain surgery and then go into
Exactly.
the operating room Monday? So,
Yeah.
uh, why the name Divergent Trader? Divergence to me means the opposite of converging. So it sets you apart. Is that the divergent part of it?
Yeah, originally, I read a book on trend following. I've forgotten it. Catherine Kalinsky, I think it was. I don't know if you've read it, but she talks about there's convergent and divergent strategies. Where convergent are where you take small losses, and then you get the occasional big loss, and that's what wipes you out. But with a divergent system, you can have lots of small losses, and then you can have an outlier event that makes you all the profits, and take cancel out all the losses. So that just stuck with me a bit. So
Yeah.
that's where it came from. Yeah, divergent way of trading.
Okay. So
Mm.
interesting. So I mean, define it for me compared to a convergent style of trading. Uh, what separates the two, the main ingredients?
So you go for bigger risk to rewards, basically.
I see.
Like a convergent strategy would be lots of small wins, and if you get a big loss, that just wipes you out. But with a
Okay.
divergent system, you can have lots of small losses, but you get big wins, and that works out better.
Okay. And the standard that a lot of guys I know look for, they won't take a trade unless they have a 3-to-1 profit risk ratio.
Mhm,
Is
mhm.
is that where is that what you teach?
Yeah, sort of. I have got strategies where I do go for fixed targets, but I do prefer to trail my stops. Not have any targets. Let the
Okay.
market decide.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get to what you wrote about. And here's Alan's website, thedivergenttrader.com. And this is a book that Alan wrote, and I had a chance to glance through it yesterday, and I recommend people check it out. And why don't we start with how people's beliefs and their attitudes towards money is a very important factor in how they are as a trader. And why don't I give a personal example? And because I agree with you, is that I was raised by a single mother, and there was always an issue of not having enough or worrying about, how are we going to make it next month. So my paradigm was one of worry and scarcity when I came into the business. So take a guess what one of my biggest problems was as a
Making
trader.
profits.
Yeah, too soon.
Yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
So, because you come from scarcity, when you see something there, you say, oh,
Yeah.
I have to take it. And then the windfalls come. And I was able to, after years of doing that, just come up with a simple solution of learning to take a partial profit
Yeah.
and then tighten up a stop to BE. So tell us about other issues. Say someone came from a family that they had so much money, it didn't matter if it was spent or lost or whatever. Tell us about different people's attitudes about money and what type of trader it makes them coming from their attitude.
Yeah. Well, going back to what you said, like it's a very similar situation with you. I mean, I came from a poor background myself, and so my beliefs on money were exactly the same. Like you always hear the sayings like it's too expensive, we can't afford it. You know, all these sayings that get drilled into you, and it becomes part of your subconscious.
There are people starving in China. You ever hear that
Yeah,
one?
yeah, that's one
Now
there.
it's
Money doesn't grow on
America, but
trees.
when I was young, in the 19th century, it was people starving in China.
Yeah,
Anyway, go ahead.
but no, you're right. All these sayings that you hear, they get drilled into you, and they create this your beliefs to money. And exactly the same with the profit taking. I was the same. You should always take profit. There's not enough money. You have to take it before it disappears. So
Right.
yeah, exactly the same with that. And it's something I
Interesting.
see a lot of people having to deal with. It goes unnoticed. Lots of people don't realize they have negative beliefs to money, that are affecting them. But once you go down that rabbit hole and start, doing some deep work, you start to you find things about yourself, and you can really start making waves once you realize, the issue of money. It's a big thing, definitely.
Okay. So you work with people and try and help them understand how that's filtering into their trading.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
we
it's a
have our
bit,
paradigm by the time we're like what, 5, 6 years old, where we're just like uh, uh, blank software
yeah,
that's getting programmed by everything around us that
yeah.
is becomes our subconscious
Mm.
uh, for the rest of our lives, unless we
Exactly.
practice to break the pattern, right?
And that's the beauty of trading, though, because like you'd never know any of this stuff until you started looking into it. So trading can be a blessing in that sense. It forces you to look at this stuff. So
It sure
it's not
does.
all bad. Mm,
Yeah, it does. Okay,
mm.
so anything else you want to talk about as far as people's beliefs about money that you wrote about in that chapter? Because I have other topics if you want to move on.
You can move on. No, it's fine.
Okay, so how do you help people gain? This is probably related, but you have a chapter of gaining understanding of your psychology. How do you work with people so they gain an understanding? I've noticed from your website that you do pretty much you do some one-on-one mentoring and spend a lot of time with your students, your mentees.
Yeah, I do. So what was the question, Dale?
That how do you help your clients gain an understanding of their psychology? That was one of your chapters.
All right, yeah. So yeah, we go through the different things like obviously the money, how they've been brought up, what's the routine like. We go through every single thing that can affect your psychology, and just try and adapt everything around that to them and find solutions. Really, everyone's different. There's always different things for everyone.
Can you name a few that are somewhat prevalent? I know everyone, just like every individual market is its own entity, but there are themes. Are there themes that you run into?
Yeah, certainly. Like a big one is why as well. Why do they want to trade? You know, a lot of people just go into trading saying, "I want to make 1 million." It's like, why 1 million? Why not 5 million? You know, like what does that money do for you? What is the emotional connection? So that's something that I find that a lot of traders don't understand that we work on. And then when you know your goal, you know why, you can then create the how, and then it's just about creating the belief system of trying to like create the self image of someone who can achieve it. So that's basically the framework that I go over.
Okay. You ever run into people who are, if they're really honest, say, I want to make a lot of money in the market so I don't have to work ever again.
Like, don't run into people like that.
Okay. All right. Because, I think that is, the attraction of the market is a lot of people see
Yeah,
in their real time work that how can they retire? And
yeah.
that
I think that's the what everyone goes in for the money to begin with. I think it is, but if you want to stay in the game, then you need to have a deeper meaning than that. You know, because
yeah.
if you have a strong why, you can progress with that.
Would a strong why be that you'd want to be a benefactor with your success and help others and perhaps you have causes or charities or something
Yeah,
outside of yourself, maybe even something not on the material plane but on the spiritual plane to,
yeah,
that is more powerful to get results on the physical plane.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, everyone's different. I mean, it's just finding something that hits with you. But I mean, certainly, definitely, that is a good one and one I recommend. But it could be anything. It could be as simple as, I want to be a world class trader, but and it's like, why? Why do you want to do that? Maybe it's to be an example for your kids or something, and things like that. You want to be an example. It's just whatever hits for you, but it's just finding that connection that's the real important part of it. I think.
Okay. How about for the
Mm.
people that just want the entertainment value and the action adrenaline rush that, usually have more of a gambling affinity than looking at the markets as probabilities. They just need to have the action. Have you run
Yeah,
into those people?
if you want to do that, then I recommend going to the casino.
I
To be
do too.
honest, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you want action, trading's not it. I mean, good trading is boring. It's like watching paint dry at
Okay.
times.
You grind it out, and uh, patience is a big deal, Alan.
Yeah,
How do you work with people that feel like, you know, I have to trade every day and they don't understand that we're also paid to wait for high probability setups. I mean, Tom Petty wrote about it. Waiting is the hardest part. So, how do you work with people when it comes to they feel like they have to be clicking the mouse all the time?
yeah. Well, obviously going back, there's numerous ways around it. But again, if we're going using the Y example, it's like if you want action, like if you feel like you need to take trades, what a little trick I say, have your why in front of you, and every time you're going to make a decision, you need to look at the why and ask yourself, does it align with what you want to do with your goal? If not, then you need to you just stop, walk away, and then you can go deeper into it. You can start creating a routine around it. Certain hours, to out of sight, out of mind techniques. Create blockers. So there's different ways around it, but that's a good little technique right there. Just having the why in front of you, staring at you, telling you.
Right. And
Mm.
do you find that traders that walk away and don't stare at the markets become better? They have confidence in their system, whatever their methodology is, and that actually watching the market can be a detriment to
Definitely.
performance.
I think the longer you look at your screen, the more chance you have of sabotaging, doing something out of plan. I think you've only got so much energy and focus that drains the more you look at the charts. So the
Okay.
less time you can spend at the charts, the better.
Okay. So, yeah, walk away staring doesn't affect your
No,
the outcome of the trade.
no.
In
I
fact,
always say the more you stare, the less you care.
beautiful. All right.
Mm.
So, how do you get people to think probabilistically? Probabilistically is thinking about probabilities.
Yeah, well, obviously you're showing first, but I like people to back test, do large back tests and go through each trade, and look at it in the short term, the fluctuate, the randomness in the short term. You might see 10 in a row and you might be down -2. But then when you put it all together, maybe 50 trades, you start noticing you see more positive results. So I like to see people look at it visually, you know, and see that way. So I think that really helps probabilistically. I mean, in the book, I showed an example as well. I don't know if you saw it. It shows all the trades spread out. It shows the random distribution of the trades, and just seeing that visual seems to help people. But it is a hard thing as well to learn to think probabilistically. I know, but I find if you've got the data in front of you, that can give you confidence in it.
Okay. Do you still journal, Alan?
Yes, I journal a lot. I've got a
Okay.
few journals.
Okay.
I've got my personal journal where I journal my emotions. I've got an emotional tracker, actually, that one there, where I track my emotions before, during, and after the trades.
Okay.
Um, and then I do use that Trader Sync as well for like just uploading my statements and just getting real solid data on my trades. So yeah, journaling has been a huge impact on my trading.
Okay. So interesting that you check your emotions after a
Yeah.
trade because I think that where people want to get to is it's just another trade. But I certainly remember feeling elation and even still do feel that with a nice trade and disappointment. Never went fetal, but
Mhm.
disappointment with losses. And where you want to get to is like what you say, trading as a business, and it's just another trade. Or I had a manager once who told me, he was in the commodity business. He said, "Well, Dale, if you drive a taxi, you're going to get tickets, and it's just part of driving a taxi."
I like that.
Yeah. So, do you find that it takes a long time for people to get to it's just another trade instead of, doing a cartwhel on a winner?
Yeah, no, definitely. It did for me as well.
Okay.
It just takes time, I think after a while of experiencing um, what it does, being overconfident and then being sad with your trades, I think there comes a point where you just like you can't you can't live like that really. You can't be happy when you win, sad when you lose. You can't see trading as a reflection of yourself. You're not your job. You're not what you do to make money. You're much more than that. And I find that a lot of people do that with trading. Um, Even in any job, though, when you ask someone what they do, they say, "I am an accountant.
Yes.
I am a doctor." And if they have a bad day at work,
Yeah.
they take it home. They see it with reflection. So it's not
Yeah.
something it's not easy to unwire, but it does take time. With persistence and you know work, you can get over it.
Yeah. You have to have other interests. I recall
Yes.
tweeting a video of me singing Kentucky Rain. It's an
Ah,
Elvis song at
I
karaoke.
love
And
Elvis.
I would say trading is what we do. It's not
Mm,
all we are.
exactly. Couldn't agree more. Going back to the hobby thing, that is so true. That's something I shout about. You need to have other outlets.
Yeah.
If you're trying to find like we're going back to the excitement, if you're trying to find excitement in trading, there's nowhere to live. You need other hobbies, and having other hobbies helps you trade better. You know, it works. Definitely agree with that.
Yeah, because don't you think that people don't even know it, but if you don't develop outlets that
Mm.
this industry can really have negative effects on your body.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah.
And that's why they call it a young man's business. You remember the scene? Remember the scene in Trading Places? That comedy with Eddie Murphy. Ever see
Oh
the
yeah,
movie?
yeah, yeah.
And they're
I
all
have
in.
seen it. I can't remember it that well, but go on.
All right, well, they go into, it's on the floor, and all the traders are in the bathroom
Yeah.
taking aspirin and
Oh,
antacids, and you know none of them
oh no.
feel too good, and then they
Yeah,
go back out and scream. So, you know, uh, and that could teach you a lesson that, you know, there are more important things in life than
yeah,
trading. Like,
yeah,
yeah, it's not. So, this is a process, Alan, that you take people through. Isn't it a lot like experience where you can't learn it? You have to live it and go through it. It only happens with the passing of time.
yeah. No, I agree with that as well. There's like you can teach people technique and stuff. Um, they're the ones that have to use it, but there's only so much you can do with people until they can only experience it. They've got to have the word with themselves at some point. Make the decision. But you can help people, show them the way, show them techniques and stuff. But yeah, it comes with experience. Yeah,
Time,
time.
time.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
all right, you have a chapter learning to take a loss.
Yeah.
Hardest thing for people to do. I have a joke that people make their stop losses sometimes with the contingency CIC. Do you know what that stands for?
No,
Cancel if close.
cancel if. Oh, right.
Have you ever pulled your stop before, Alan, in your
Have
career?
I
Come
ever
on,
pulled my
no.
stop?
Never?
What? Sorry, no. What was the
Have
question?
you ever pulled your stop loss order when it was close to being elected?
What, you moved it? Kept moving
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Oh yeah, when at the beginning, yeah.
yeah,
I always
right.
remember one
Yeah,
one trade on euro pound. I was looking to reverse it, and it just kept coming back into my stock. I kept reversing it, and yeah, I can remember sitting there for days. Honestly, I was just sitting there in front of my screen going crazy. And then the time where I just had enough. I took it off, and as soon as I took it off, it bloody reversed. So painful
yeah,
lesson, but
yeah,
these scars, the correct reminders, so you learn from.
yeah. All the market wizards, most of them have learned that lesson
Yeah,
too. Um, so how do you teach people to learn how to um, accept a loss?
well, it's not as easy as it sounds, but you just have to go through it, explain what it is. A loss isn't a loss, the first thing to do is change your language to what a loss is. A loss to me is just a random data point. you know. I mean,
Yeah,
even the word loss, it's like stop loss. You
yeah,
can change it to protective stop, you know.
like
It
it.
gives it a different view.
Yeah. You're an
But
NLP guy because what we say and declare that comes out of our mouth has more impact on us than
exactly,
things we
yeah.
just think. And that's why you tell people to write things down because it imprints on us more, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
Okay, so why don't we go and talk about common trader biases? I have the page up here.
Yeah,
Why don't you
yeah.
give us a little explanation of it?
So yeah, bias is very sneaky things. So when you're aware of them, they can help majorly. And like there's so many recency bias. When
Oh,
you
yes.
that's a big one that happened to me a lot, where you think recent trades and you make outcomes based on that. A gambler's fallacy, that's another one. where you think if you've had four losses in a row, the next one must be a winner. But again, the trades are totally random. It's still 50-50. So, and this is where traders go wrong. They load up on the next trade and blow their accounts. So, understanding the biases and understanding which one is affecting you can help majorly in your trading. Just recording what biases, it just creates more awareness in that sense.
What advice would you give someone who either mentally or says something like this? I hope I hope this works.
Hope is not a strategy.
Yeah, okay. All right, but they've gone to the point. Are you a believer in taking breaks from the market, Alan?
Yeah.
Recharging your battery. Take a week off. The markets will be here when you get back. Do you
No,
teach?
I'm 100% a believer in that. 100%. I think you shouldn't try and grind your way through it if you're going through a bad period. If the losses and stuff, if you're in a drawdown and it's affecting you, I think taking some time away from the markets is a good thing. Come back refreshed. It does wonders.
Okay.
And I'd even recommend it the other way as well. Say
Yeah,
you
if
get a
things are going
windfall,
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you get windfall profits, you can be um, susceptible to being overconfident and thinking you're trading with the house's money.
Oh yeah,
So
gosh, I've heard that. Yeah. And
mm,
I say it was the house's money. It's yours now. Protect it.
yeah, and that
Right.
like pay yourself a bit of your profits as well. Make it real.
Oh,
See the money.
we're kindred spirits. So pull some of those wins out of your account
Mm,
and yeah, spend it or at
mm,
least feel it because
yeah,
it's almost like Vegas, isn't it, Alan? That's
yeah,
why they give us chips
yeah,
because it doesn't represent cash, and in our accounts are just digits. Um,
exactly. Yeah,
I remember working at the Merc, and guys would go through 5, 6 figure swings in the morning, and
wow.
then it was winter, and we'd go for breakfast, and instead of staying indoors and going into Union Station for breakfast,
Mm.
we would walk 4 blocks in, you know, 0 degrees because Lou Mitchell's had a breakfast special. Because that was real. I mean, and
Yeah.
dividing the check, you needed a CPA. After they've, had 50, 80, $100,000 swings each way, but paying
Mm.
for breakfast was real money.
Mm. Mm.
Isn't that an extreme example?
It is.
All
Mm.
right. So tell us about the break-even trader.
So yeah, break even. So I always say it's either two things. So it's either your strategy, maybe your risk to rewards off, or it's something in you. Hopefully it's the first one. That's pretty easy. It's just a matter of looking at your results and adapting the strategy. So yeah, they're the main 2 points that I'd say when you're at break even. But
Okay.
yeah,
What?
break even's a good place to be. It means you're nearly there. Most
Yeah,
most people don't get to break even.
it's progress. There are so many people there trying to get even, especially after what happened last year when after the punch bowl was taken away.
Yeah.
So you also have some exercises that you recommend. Um, one's the awareness. What's the one with the voice recorder? Let's wrap it with that since, um, I light up when there's a microphone or a camera. So what's the voice recorder?
So yeah, the voice recorder just basically record yourself trading, speak out loud, why you're entering, what you're thinking. And then just at the end of the day, you can just analyze literally analyze your thoughts and see what was helping, what was sabotaging, and then, create corrections and stuff that way. It's just when you hear your own voice speaking out loud and you can hear the thought process, it creates a different kind of awareness. So I find that does help as a little exercise, the voice recorder. It did for me anyway.
Okay, well, I'm joining your access to your weekly newsletter and content, and I really enjoyed talking to you, Alan.
Yes,
I think you have a great mission,
thank you.
and I think
Appreciate that.
that's your thing outside of trading that we were
Yeah,
talking about early. That gives you, it's bigger than your P&L. It's
yeah,
right. It's a mission
yeah.
of helping people in
Yeah,
what's a pretty difficult endeavor.
yeah, you're spot on.
All right. Well, it was spot on to have you in what's been, pretty volatile environment over the last 12, 14 months. And
Mm.
um, I root for you and all the people you teach that they don't go through as much discomfort as I did during certain periods of time in my own trading career. So
I appreciate it.
they call me coach.
Mm.
Traders call me, you're a coach. You're
Mm.
a coach. You're a player coach because you still trade, right?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, Alan. Well, I'm rooting for you. I hope this is one of your best year ever
Thank you, my friend.
in all ways.
And same to you. I wish you all the best as well, Dale. Thank you for having me on, my friend.
All right. It was great having you, everyone. Alan Edward, and you should pick up his book and you could follow him on Twitter at Trader Divergent. And here's his website, thedivergenttrader.com. Thanks again, Alan. It was a pleasure
Thank you.
meeting you.